Hello, dear soul family. Welcome to the Meditation Mama podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay, mama to 3 amazing children and founder of the Meditation Mama Company. On this show, we talk about parenting starseed children, spirituality, motherhood, intuition, and shifting paradigms to create a new way for the new earth. Once a month, I also release a free bonus episode with a channeled meditation that you won't want to miss. Today, we are going to chat about all things spirit babies with my friend, Michelle. Michelle is a spirit baby oracle. She's a spirit baby communicator, a light language channel, and a Crystalis energy healer, and also a wife and mama to 2 sweet little starseeds. So over the past few years, Michelle has formed a deep connection with the Spirit Baby Collective and the Bringers of Light. And through this connection, she really helps women and mothers on their spiritual paths and their missions. Thank you so much for being here, Michelle.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so hearing it back about myself. I'm like, oh, okay, I love all of this. It's like hearing somebody read
Yeah,
it. I'm totally into it. I love it. I'm so happy to be here.
yes. I know. That's why I wanted to interview you. You're one of my very first interviews. I was like, we have to have Michelle on to talk about spirit babies. Okay, so let's share with the audience first. What is a spirit baby oracle communicator, and what exactly are spirit babies?
Okay, so Spirit Baby Oracle came through as a title for me only a couple months ago. I always just would call myself a Spirit Baby channel, but it felt like the frequencies coming through were very when I would channel the Spirit Babies, they just felt so it was like this beautiful clear channel and I was able to bring their frequency through, and so it felt like it needed more of a title, and so that's where Spirit Baby Oracle came from. It feels like when I communicate with the spirit babies, it's not only coming through in the sense of images and a knowing of what they're wanting to communicate, but I'm also getting these beautiful frequencies and 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 different feelings that will come through my frequency and my voice that I get to share with others, which is really really cool. Spirit babies are there's so many they're multidimensional. There's so many things about them, but in the best way to put it, spirit babies are our children that are waiting to come earthside. They are in this beautiful heaven like space. It's such a playful and loving environment that they're in. And they are not only preparing themselves to come earthside, but they're also learning from us currently. When they're connected with us, when we feel connected to them, they are learning through us. And the more that we can communicate with them and work with them, we can assist in that transition, and we can also learn from each other. So there's just so much there to receive from the spirit babies. And they're very excited that they're getting their voice out there.
Well, that's incredible. Okay, I definitely want to dive into how we can communicate with them. But before that, I want to hear your journey. How did you go from Michelle to Spirit Baby Oracle? What was that like? When did these gifts kind of open up? And how did you realize that, oh, I can communicate with the Spirit Baby Collective?
Yeah, I want to start with saying that when I was younger, I was always into this stuff. I was so fascinated with just looking at, I would even look at different religions and how others religions would think, and how they would have their traditions. And my grandfather was actually psychic. And when I was younger, I heard stories of him, and I thought that was so fascinating. I wanted that gift too. That was just so my whole life, it was always something that I absolutely loved. Fast forward to college years, I had a friend who practiced Kabbalah, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I wore the red string on the wrist for years. Learned about the evil eye and God's source in a different way than I had heard in my religion, and so it like opened me up to thinking outside the box, I guess you'd say. When I was pregnant, though, was when I really, really feel like I went through my awakening, where I really felt like, okay, this is different than I realized it was. And I felt so inspired. I felt so excited about all of the knowings and knowledge, and that we were a connection of God's source. I was like lit up by that. I'm like, wait, I don't have to just sit around and let things happen to me. I get to like create these things, and my thoughts become my reality. And it was just I just literally jumped headfirst into knowing and the knowledge of everything. I took every course from Ayurveda to breath work, postpartum doula work, all the things. If I felt lit up by it, I was following it. Human design, it was so much fun. So I want to say that I do believe that my son was really my catalyst for my awakening. I've had many awakenings since, both with the births of both of my sons have been massive rebirths in who I am. But it actually wasn't until after my second son that I found out that I could tap into spirit babies. My sister was pregnant at the time, and she was going through some hard pregnancy health concerns, and so she was worried about herself and her stress levels and these types of things. And so I had kind of dabbled with intuitive medicine, where I could tap in with somebody and kind of see what they needed intuitively. And so I tapped in with my sister to see, okay, what does she need? And her spirit baby, Kendrick, came right through. He was so giddy and happy and excited. And he's like, "Hi, I'm here. You can tell her that I'm okay. And here's my sign." He offered her a butterfly as his sign. And he's like, "When she sees these, then she'll know to trust me and to trust her body, because this is exactly how it's supposed to be." And he was just, I get goosebumps still to this day talking about it. And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm communicating with her child that she's pregnant with." And it blew open the doors to the spirit baby realm for me. I haven't looked back. It is such a beautiful feeling to connect with them. And so, yeah, so here he is now, Earthside, 1 years old. And it's so beautiful to see our connection. Just when we look each other in the eyes, it's like, I know you. And it's like this trust that really came from that. So, yes, I would say that's my journey. And it's been a beautiful one. And I felt like I wanted it to be quicker, but looking back, it happened exactly as it should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so special. I have full body chills right now. And how beautiful that your nephew was able to open that door for you. And it's interesting going back to what you were saying about pregnancy. I was just listening to another podcast yesterday and I was like nodding my head, like, yes, yes, because they were talking about how pregnancy is such a portal. And that's when my awakening like really took off. I had some little things happen before, but each of my kids just kind of like blasted me open in a new way and opened new
Yes.
gifts. And it's just amazing how we have that connection with them. So
It
this
really
got me
is.
thinking too. When you talk to the spirit babies, you're seeing them more as a childlike form, or are you seeing them more as like a higher dimensional energy, or does it depend where the person is in their, if they're closer to birth or conception, or how does that look?
They come in different forms. I definitely see them as orbs. They're like beautiful bright lights. And I notice that when they are larger and closer orbs, that they feel like they're more prepared to come earthside, like they're ready to go. Some feel slightly more, I guess the word might be timid, like, I'm just kind of here to like check everything out. I'm not really ready yet, So those are those. And then there's also the ones that I will see spirit babies with beautiful golden wings. And those represent usually the babies that have come earthside and maybe have gone right back immediately, maybe through miscarriage or something like that. And they are still ready to come earthside, but they're just taking their time and they've gained these beautiful wings. And it's like they're the most beautiful and trusting souls you could ever meet. But that's how they begin when I first tap into them. But then as I communicate with the mothers, usually is who I'm talking with, I will feel their essence and their personality come through. And when I start to feel that, I'll kind of see an image. I'll start to see them like maybe at 3 years old or 5 years old. Once I start to get all of the puzzle pieces, if you will, it will kind of come together. But they definitely start off as these most beautiful, very bright orbs when I'm channeling them.
Wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. What are you finding that these spirit babies want from their mothers, either preconception or during pregnancy? Like, what are they requiring and what are they asking for?
Most always, it always comes down to trust. I feel like we're kind of like, I don't know if they necessarily realize the heaviness that Earth can kind of bring, the society beliefs of maybe your age and, what family generational things that have happened through their, pregnancies in the past in your family and how that's all worked out. And so they want more than anything for their parents to trust in the co creation process, because a lot of the times when you're calling in a child, you can kind of flip flop with your beliefs like, oh, this is going to happen, or oh, this, is going to be hard, or and all these things, and you're actually creating that reality. And so it's not only you creating your child, but it's also a co-creative process. And so your child wants to be able to trust you and your vessel to come earthside, and so they're requiring that frequency to be held within your body. They bring up that word almost always, and it's way more important, it feels like, than your diet and the prenatal vitamins that you're taking. It's that your vessel is this clear and trusting environment so that it can nourish and love the babies just as they come into your womb, because that is a massive transition in itself. And so they need to be able to know that they're going to be held. And so it all comes in through your frequency.
That's interesting. Is
Yeah.
there anything physically that they're also really wanting, or is it more just like safety in the nervous system?
It's definitely safety in the nervous system. When you said physically, another thing that came up, and you might be surprised by it, but it's a sense of community, that the mother specifically has the assistance from her friends, from her partner, from her, she trusts in her environment as well. That's actually quite important. They, especially the spirit babies coming earthside right now, they're requiring the codes from so many others in the environment, not just the mother. And so that is another piece that they're really calling in terms of like how to help your body prepare for something like that. It really is a nervous system type of practice. It would be breath work. It would be allowing yourself to quiet your mind and meditation and being in the sun. A lot of nature's vitamins, like vitamin D, that you can get from the sun, like a lot of hydration. All the really simple basics are really all that they're desiring. They don't necessarily need you to be on a specific diet or eat more meat or eat less of this or that. It just feels like it's a frequency that is attuned to your body. And so for some people, it might be eating a lot of watermelon. And for somebody else, intuitively, watermelon isn't right for them and they need to listen to that. So it's the frequency that you're letting your body be held at. And that's something that you really need to just trust in your inner knowing, because there's not a book and there's not anybody who's going to be able to tell you what you need more than yourself. And that's a huge thing, is the intuition of a mother, even pre-pregnancy, preconception, the intuition that is held within you and your womb space. It must be listened to, because this is the key.
That makes so much sense because that goes right along with what I've been saying in terms of parenting too, is that these children now more than ever are asking us to parent them. It could be very differently from the norm. and we have to let go of the ego and let go of what
Yeah,
everyone else is saying, all the noise, and just listen to our own intuition and to what their higher self and our higher self is telling us, because the old ways are just not going to work anymore. It's like not a one size fits all approach for anything, but I feel like especially for these new earth children. So that
I
just
agree.
that makes so much sense. I'm really
Yeah.
curious, as you were talking, I was thinking about my experience with each of my three. I felt like they came in almost at different points in my pregnancy. Like my first child, I remember being like, I don't feel a connection with him and I want to feel it so badly, but I don't feel like he's with me at all until the very end. And then my third child, Colette, she was very present with me the whole time. She was like, I'm here, mom. Like, I'm right next to you. So are you finding that some of them are off kind of doing doing like a whole different
Yeah.
mission and they're not really present with the mom so much, and then other times they're coming in from the beginning?
Yeah, sometimes they're very quiet, especially when some of them come whenever they're conceived. It can almost be like a shock, like, whoa, that was big. That was a big transition. And sometimes they'll just go completely silent and they're like, I just need to like sit in this for a little bit. And other times they feel more prepared and they're like, oh no, I know I'm ready for this and more excited about that part of it. And they are much more vivacious in their communication. It doesn't mean anything really for their personality once they come earthside, really. It's just like their soul designed it that way. I felt the same way with my second, Bodhi. He was quiet. He was very quiet. He was just like, that was just his way of being during pregnancy. Like he knew what was, he was almost like a silent confidence is really what it felt like. And so that doesn't really mean anything. It's nothing to be worried about. Sometimes they're just off doing other missions, or they're just preparing themselves because they know that their mission earthside is requiring them to like be in this quiet, almost like retreat, in this sanctuary that you get to offer your child in your womb. And then their mission begins, and it's like, I'm going to take this time to relax, you know?
Yeah, as you should. This is a
Yeah.
it's a crazy life you get to live here
Yeah.
on earth. Okay,
Yeah.
so you just brought up another point that I was just thinking about. So I had my third child at 38, and there was a point where I was almost going to go for a fourth because I had a spirit baby that was on me and I could feel their energy, and I knew what a beautiful, beautiful spirit the spirit baby was. And I had to let that go because I needed to move on from just having babies. But are you finding that the spirit babies are wanting like older, more conscious moms more than ever? Because it seems like women are having babies well into their 40s now, and it just seems like this is going to be the new trend.
Oh yeah, it's going to become a massive trend, um, and that's why the trust factor is really important. Because when you're in your 40s, society is going to make you think that you're too old to have children, but you need to hold on to that trust because you have this knowing within you that this is a purpose. Um, so it's funny because there's a wave of spirit babies, and some of them very galactic, that are coming through right now with massive codes, massive crystalline structure within them, and they are requiring a vessel of wisdom, a vessel that has held wisdom for a longer term on earth, so that they don't need to really learn the lessons. Like the mom isn't, and the parents aren't really there to like learn the lessons through their children that you might learn in your 20s. Whenever you have children, you're learning so many lessons through your children. Later in life, there's this wisdom that comes that you actually are co-sharing the wisdom with each other. And it's less like karmic lessons to be shared. It's more of a living experience that they're desiring. They're coming for a specific mission, and they're requiring your structure and your steadiness in life. And so it will become very, very common. And I wanted to mention, when you were mentioning that you almost went for your fourth, I also had a similar situation. I have a third spirit baby or child who is connected with me still, and she is very much like on the mission with me. And for the longest time, I thought, okay, well, even if I'm not really mentally prepared for another child, I need to be because I need her to be here. How big of a deal is it that I have this beautiful child with me and I'm not going to bring her earthside? Like, that's a big life choice. I felt overwhelmed by it. Like, I wanted that, but then I also was not prepared. I wasn't ready for that. And what I have learned is that it's really beautiful the connection that our spirit baby will create with us. They are learning the lessons and living the life with us right now, even if they aren't physically earthside. They are transferring codes to us and we're learning that from them, whether we see it or not. And so when I was able to look at it that way, she's like my partner in crime. Like she's a part of my guides. She's right here with me. Whether she comes earthside or not, I feel her around me. And I know that there's a purpose in that. And I feel like that's something important for a lot of us to realize is that there's beauty in the spirit babies, whether they come earthside or not. And there's this need for the communication because I think for us, we need to feel the communication to really feel the essence. For them, it's like they already feel it. Like they don't really need to communicate. They can feel it through our frequencies. But for us, hearing that from them is just it's massive on our journey. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful. I had a lot of grief because it took me a good 6 months of going back and forth and talking to my husband and weighing all the pros and cons and all of it. And I had a lot of grief letting my spirit baby go. And I
Oh,
said the same thing. I was like, please stay as a guide.
I
And
love
then I was
that.
like, can you be my grandchild? So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard when you can physically feel their energy with you. That actually brings me to how do we communicate with their spirit babies? Because I know with this fourth baby, I could feel the energy, but I wasn't getting the like clear communication that I get. There was almost a little bit of a disconnect in the way maybe that I communicate and they communicated. And so I actually had a friend tap in. And then after she did that, then our communication was clear. But for someone who is as intuitive as I am, I thought it was going to be this like simple thing and I wasn't getting the communication.
I
So what
will
would you
say
say
that
for
when it
people that
comes to
maybe
our
aren't even
personal,
as intuitive
like
as
when
you
we're
and I?
channeling our personal health, our personal spirit babies, our personal experiences, that's much more difficult for us because we have our thoughts and our mind and our feelings and our emotions are at play. And so it was natural that that was a little bit more difficult for you. This was obviously an emotional experience. Um, it does help whenever you have somebody assist you in the almost like the introduction. So your friend doing this for you was almost like opening up a larger communication for you both to experience with each other and a broader understanding of how you can communicate with each other. Um, for I would offer this piece of wisdom for women who are desiring to communicate with their spirit baby is it really is an internal trust. You will be receiving these messages. It's whether you receive them with trust and like, oh, that's a message, or you're like, I don't know, was that like just like, and so it's a very fine line between your mind and your spirit child speaking to you. And so it has to be an internal knowing and a trust that happens. They always mention that one of the best conduits for communication is water. And so I always suggest this to women if they are or fathers or men, like if you everybody has a spirit baby connected. It doesn't always have to be women, but this is who I feel like I'm speaking with the most. These types of things, this is a really great space to amplify the communication, like turn up the volume, if you will, and it's going to take intention and patience. So if you intend to communicate, make that clear and then ask for signs, ask for a specific sign or, offer a symbol that would represent your spirit baby, so that you will gain that trust. And as you do, the communication will strengthen, and you'll both be able to understand each other much more clearly. And you'll be able to tap in much more easily.
That makes so much sense. Yes, I love that. And I find that too with myself. If I'm having a day where my head is just all over the place and I can't even
Yeah,
sit in meditation without the monkey mind and the thoughts, I will go take a very long intentional shower and
of
just
course. Yeah,
intend for
you're
the
onto
water to
something.
clear my
That's
energy, and
exactly, yeah.
then whatever needs to come through to come through. And that does really do the trick at the end of the day. So that's a great method. Thank you. Um, yeah, I love that. Are you noticing that more spirit babies that are coming in are
Mhm.
brand new to Earth? Is this a trend that you're seeing? Because I feel like I'm noticing it with, I'm noticing the difference
Yeah.
between like my 2-year-old and her little friends and my 6-year-old.
Yes, I
It
totally get
feels
what you're
like the
saying.
kids that
I feel
are
like
younger
if you
and
were to look
younger
at
are
on like a
just so
spectrum
star
scale, it's
seedy
like getting brighter and
versus my
brighter
6-year-old.
as
He's
like
very much a
there are
star
more
seed,
and
but
more of
not all the
them
kids
that
around him are,
are
if that
not
makes sense.
experienced on the earth side level. And they are coming with some massive missions and codes and frequencies that are really like needed on earth. And so us as starseed parents, we've got to hold the line. We're almost there to nurture and to hold them through this. If it's like the message coming through is, yes, there are many galactic children that are coming through, there are many star seeds that are coming through. Star babies is a word that's been coming to me often, and I've been tapping in with that more. And if they were born in our generation, they might have been considered the odd, or different personalities, or like, well, they're like silly and like. But now they are, this is the authentic frequency that they hold, and it's massively important. And so the more like you would see it from the age 6 into the babies being born now is quite a drastic shift in the amount of babies coming in that they've got some big missions. We have them as well, but they're holding some massive crystal codes that are really going to activate all of those in their presence, and they won't even realize it. but just by holding or being near one of these children, you've received a lot.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm thinking now of my middle daughter who is just,
Yeah.
I said in the first podcast, she feels out of the three, she feels much more new here. Like I think she's been here a few times, but she's very galactic, very much a healer. And people in her presence will just get more like calm and
I love that.
peaceful. And they'll come up to me and be like, that girl's really special. And they don't know why. And I'm like, oh, I know why. And then I see it
Yeah.
with my 2-year-old. She's a completely different frequency. And she's like, I
Yeah.
am here to trigger you. And I'm going to say something that's going to make your head go, huh? And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see all these beautiful frequencies on the earth. I'm so excited when I'm hearing you talk about this. I'm like, yes, what an amazing time to be here. Wow. Okay, so let's
Mm-hmm.
see. Let me pause here. What was my last question? Oh, okay, so that brings me to your journey as a starseed
Yeah.
mama.
Okay. So
I'm really
intuitive nudges from him, but
curious
I didn't realize that's what they
about your
were.
communication
I
with your
still had the
babies before
busy
they were
mind.
born.
I
And
was
then
Googling all
since
the
they've
time.
been
I was
Earthside,
listening to
what do
all
you
the
see with
other,
them that's
tips. I
different from
was,
the norm? And
those
what are
kinds of
you
things.
doing
So
as a
there
parent
wasn't
that
like
is different from the
I didn't really
norm?
even know that that was a possibility to really communicate with him. And knowing now, like that was exactly how it was supposed to be. As he was born, it was an absolute rebirth of who I was, and that actually like triggered a massive I would even consider like I went through like this phase of who am I? Like what's going like I didn't even I literally could have changed my name. That's how different I was. And so I feel like that's what opened me up to being able to be open to something like that. So when I had Bodhi, I was open to spirit baby communication. I had heard about it before. I was always fascinated with it. Kind of overwhelmed me a little bit. I thought it seemed a little bit confusing, and I'm like, okay, I'm not even sure where to go with that. What is that going to bring me? How will that help me? But I felt called to connect because I had been told my entire life, or not my entire life, but many times from many wise mentors in my life that I had a girl. And so I was just knowing that this was the second child was a girl. And when I found out that he was a boy, I was quite confused. I was, where's the girl? I thought that I lost the girl. Like, where's her soul? I was actually went through a time of a little period of like sadness because I thought that I had lost a child. It had nothing to do with the gender. It just felt like the soul was different. And I was like, well, where's the other soul? Um, and so I connected in, and just by speaking with this beautiful woman who spoke with me about my spirit baby, it just gave me such clarity on the path. And I got to like see that actually the girl that the soul was actually there with Bodhi, that she was helping him along. I'll get teary eyed even thinking about it, that she was helping him along in my womb. It was beautiful. And so I think that was one of the big points for me when I'm like, wow, there's something here. This is important. As I had Bodhi, I was like, okay, things need to be different in how I parent, in how I live my life. I was kind of before that still living like the life where you kind of fit in, I guess you'd say, like all the other moms do it this way, and I just wanted to be like that. And after Bodhi, I'm like, no, we're outside grounding all the time. Our feet are in the grass. We're blessing our water. We're constantly saying I love you to our water. Like these little things that I thought were, not important, I realized how important they were. So those are definitely things that I've brought to the table being with these children. I think I feel the importance of showing them that it's okay to be as you want to be. Like I will blurt out beautiful, light codes and light language and songs and sing to them, and they absolutely just melt in that and they love that. And I know that they're feeling that frequency. And so I'm more open to sharing that with them. Um, I want like I remember thinking when I got asked this question before about the starseed parenting and what we're here to do really and what they're here to offer. I had this thought that the babies coming earthside right now, they're coming with the knowing. They already have all of the knowing within them. They don't really need to be taught much. What our job is to offer them that nourishing environment so that they can feel held and supported on this path. We do have with us the wisdom of being earthside, the heaviness that can come with emotions, with being around people that aren't necessarily the same as us or might think differently. And so we have this massive knowledge of being here on earth to share with our children to help them feel safe so that they can live out their mission. And I feel supported from my children to live out my mission. Because once I realized I was a starseed, it was like, I have a mission, I have a path. Like I've been nonstop since. And so I don't allow myself to feel guilty for filling up my cup because I know that the frequency that I'm holding is filling up my children's cup. And it's inspiring and it's exciting to see that how they just soak it up and how they're so lit up by that.
Also, I'm just resonating with everything because you're bringing me back to my first year as a parent when I was the exact same way. I remember my mother being like, get off
Yeah.
Dr. Google because I was just Googling everything and asking people. And then I was so frustrated that my baby wasn't doing what he was supposed to
Yeah.
be doing. And it took that year where I was very disconnected from my intuition that year, that whole reset and that whole transformation and that rebirth
They
as a
do.
mother
I tapped in
to
this
really
morning. I'm
kickstart
going to
my
tap in right
rebirth as
now
a
because they do have
person.
a really beautiful
And
message. So
same as you. I mean, all the things very, very resonant for me. So thank you for
they're
sharing
bringing
that.
forth the
Okay, lastly,
exciting.
I want to know, does the Spirit Baby
They're
Collective
saying
have any
knowledge. The
messages
exciting knowledge
for
that they
our
want to share with
listeners
us is
today?
that
What would they like to
they are
share with
bringing with
us?
them crystal codes. And these codes will be awakened as they enter Earth. It's almost like planting a seed. And we will be awakening even brighter and more vivaciously in the coming generation to come. That all is required for us now is to sit in community, to kind of make our pods, to make our community not only in virtual, but also in where we live, because this is going to be required. There are gifts that are wanting to be shared within our community. And so the spirit babies are very excited. They're coming with this new structure within them. And it's going to be very activating for us. So the more that we can prepare our vessels in staying in the most vibrationally aligned space with what we drink and eat and how our environment feels for us, we need to be ready for these activations, is how they're saying. Like, this is an activation that is taking place, and that's why they're being trickled in. And it's like they're laughing because it seems like it's being trickled in, but they're coming in like massive waves, and it's actually quite quick for us. So for some of us, this might be why we feel so, like, one moment we're like so excited and happy, and the other moment we're like, oh my God, this is stressful. Like it's waves, literally waves. They're also sharing that these beautiful codes are being shared with us as they are uh, connecting with us now. They don't necessarily need to be Earthside to share the codes. That we can ask for us to align to their frequency to receive the codes that are in highest alignment for us in this moment. So opening up to that and allowing them to share, because some of these spirit babies don't even quite have the desire to come Earthside right now. They're still waiting it out, but they have codes to be shared. So the more of us that have these abilities to tap in or can communicate with somebody to connect with their spirit baby, to ask for the codes, to ask for these codes to be activated within in ease, in flow, and in grace.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you, Spirit Baby Collective. Thank you, Michelle. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful message. And again, I feel so lit up about being here Earthside right now. Sometimes it can feel so, like you said, it can feel so heavy. And when you are highly sensitive and you're riding those emotional waves, it can be a lot. And as a starseed, I know even as an adult, I've had those moments where I'm like, I just want to go to my real home. But when you share messages like that, it reminds me how amazing it is to be here right now at this time on Earth. Michelle and I got cut off at the very end of this interview, but you can find all of her offerings and connect with her on Instagram at Spirit Mama Michelle. She is currently offering spirit baby readings, of course, whether you're preconception, pregnant, or already a mama looking for some wisdom from the Spirit Baby Collective. She also offers spirit child readings, where she will read your child's higher self and talk to them in a heart to heart, tell you all the things, tell you about their path, what they need from you, anything you could ask about, she's got you. And she also offers Spirit Mama illumination sessions where she really combines all of her gifts. She does energy healing through this method she downloaded called Crystalis. It's just incredible. Spirit baby channeling, light codes, and it's really just a personalized session for whatever you need. So again, check her out at Spirit Mama Michelle on Instagram. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening to the Meditation Mama podcast. Your support means the world to me. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with a loved one. Check out my meditations and all of my offerings at themeditationmama.com. and sign up for my newsletter, and you will receive 2 free meditations. I would also love to hear from you, so send me a message on my Instagram at _meditation mama or an email on my website. See you next time.